Colouring skin can seem hugely intimidating at first to many of us, but with a few simple tricks, skin can actually be one of the most enjoyable and relaxing elements to colour. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how I colour skin and hopefully give you some tips and tricks to enhance your skin colouring. Today I am working with Prismacolor pencils and I am colouring in Wondrous Folk by Christine Karron. Here is our lovely book here. And I have chosen a grayscale image today because a lot of the shading is already there for us. So we already have a lot of the depth and the dimension mapped out and we simply just need to apply the color. So when you're learning to color skin, grayscale images can be perfect for this purpose. And then we can slowly move up to other images that may not otherwise have the grayscale in them, such as your Hannah Coulson portraits. So here we already have the cheekbones shaded in for us. We already have shading around the face. We have shading under the lips, under the nose, around the nose, under the eyes, and in the eye socket. So this is naturally where I would be placing most of my darkest shades anyway. And the other reason why I think grayscale is so great is it's kind of like if we are driving to a new destination that we've never been before, we often will pop on Google Maps, which will give us the direct route to drive. And once we've driven it for a while, we actually don't need the map anymore. So I feel like that is the natural progression with these pages as well. So once we start, we're going to build up some muscle memory after we've colored a few pages like this. And then we'll find that we just won't need it because it will become second nature and it starts to become a joy. So I'm hoping that I can slowly guide you toward that goal today and hopefully just demystify and debunk some of the scariness of coloring skin. I know for me that the first time I colored skin, I was super scared and it just got easier as I went along. So over the last few months, I've watched many different types of tutorials. I've watched tutorials from other colorists, tutorials from other artists. So artists that are coloring and coloring books or artists that are actually sketching and drawing their own portraits and then applying the color as they go. So I find that if you watch as many different YouTube videos as you can, many different examples, soak up as much information as you can, and then you'll find that you'll actually begin to start developing your own style and you'll have your own color combinations and your way of doing it. And I suppose that is the beauty of it. It's not to just copy someone else and always stay that way. So we might copy someone else's demonstration while we're learning, but then as we go along, we'll just develop our own style. So Prismacolor pencils today, and I'll show you the colors I am using. These colors that I'm showing you today, these are just my regulars. It's what I'm most comfortable with. It is not the colors that I 100% always color with. I'm currently experimenting with different color combinations. This is just what I find I've used the most, and therefore I feel like I'm able to teach it just that little bit easier. Okay, so I'm gonna go for our lightest colors. So we've got light peach, which is PC 927, beige 997, rosy beige 1019, nectar 1092, burnt ochre 943, chestnut 1081, dark umber 947, and I always just have a white on hand as well. I will also bring in some other colors if I feel like I wanted to add a bit of makeup, or if I need to do the eyes and the lips as well, or if I feel like the skin tone is just turning, say, too pink, then I'll balance it out with some yellowy colors, which is why I've got the beige here. And the inverse is true as well. If I feel like I'm looking a bit too yellow, then I can bring some pink in, because skin really has many different shades in it. And because it's translucent as well, I feel like we always do need to have a bit of a pink in there just to represent, I suppose, the blood flow that's happening through the skin. And I will generally work from light to dark, and I'll just be playing around with the colors as I build it up. So let's go back to our coloring page. Now, if we just study the face a little bit further, so we can see, like we were saying, we've got a lot of the shading around the hairline. So the further away something is from us in distance-wise, we're going to be going darker. Same with the eye sockets as well, because they're more sunken in than the brow bone. And I find that if you're someone that wears makeup, you can pretty much just apply the same rules, like the same contouring rules as you would with your blush and your highlighter, especially like on the nose, on the bridge of the nose as well, and around the chin. and around the top of the cheekbones here, because that's what is most forward. So I often found myself, when I was first starting to color skin, I would go into the bathroom and just look at my own face in the mirror and just study the light and how the light hit my face and where I needed to apply the shading in my coloring. I also like to use reference photos. So I like to go into Pinterest, for example, and look up portrait photos and find a similar subject that has the same kind of expression, the same angle, and they're kind of looking the same way. So you can kind of see the same angle on their face. And I find by using portraits, because it is studio lighting, it's going to look a bit more dramatic, I suppose, and easy to see than if you were just trying to look at a face that was perhaps outside and you might not see as much of the shading. So that can be good as well. But today we're going to be using the grayscale as a guide. Now, if you like, you can go dark to light, but I like to go light to dark with my skin tones because I like to work very slowly and build up all the layers. And I think sometimes we can look at skin combinations and just see them as a really complex combination of colors, but they're actually not. If I bring the palette again, so just looking at the colored pencils as a whole, see how we've got the standard kind of balance that we usually do in any color combination. So we've got lights, mediums, and our dark colors. It's the exact same thing. So even though, yes, I will be using some colors to balance this and balance that and things like that, if we just zoom out, we treat it exactly the same. And all we're doing is applying those colors exactly like we would any other element. So we apply our lightest colors where we want to bring forward and our darkest colors where we want to bring it back and show some depth. So let's dive in, shall we? I'm firstly going to start with my peach, my light peach color. And for me, I found that I actually like to start from the middle and work outward. So you may have seen a few different types of methods to start. And just FYI, starting is the scariest part. Once you've started, it gets a little bit easier. So you may have seen that you could just do a complete wash to start with, but I actually like to start carving in the shapes with the first layer because I actually like some of the white to come through. I find it's a bit more dramatic. So I'm going to start very lightly and I'm going to hold my pencil back a fair bit. I may even get a pencil extender soon. And just as a caveat, this peach, this light peach, you're not going to be able to see it. So just try and do your best just to follow where my pencil is going. And I'm just going to bring it outwards. And again, her shading is already here. So I'm just going to follow it. So lots of light layers. So I don't just do 1 or 2. I do about 5 or 6. But I adjust. And it's going to look pretty sketchy for a little bit. But the more you go along, the better it's going to look. So I've got a nice sharp tip. I'm holding my pencil back. Now I am someone who has a extremely tight grip on my pencils and I'm very heavy-handed, which actually it can be a weakness and can kind of work against what I want to achieve. So I'm just bringing it outwards. I'm going to try and keep that as fairly light as possible. I'd prefer to do it this way than going too heavy-handed, which I've done so in the past. I prefer to leave huge white gaps and build on them than colour over things too soon. So I'm just following the shadows. Going up here. Because skin is all about the relationship between the colours and having those work together. So again, you're probably not going to be able to see this layer because no matter how much I can color grade this image for you, cameras don't like light peach. So I'm just going around the nose. Again, this is why grayscale is good to practice, because the proportion of the nose is already sketched out for you. But if this wasn't here, I would be trying to carve in this particular line anyway. So this line that's already there, I would be starting to carve that out, because I have tried to start carving out noses and things like that when, like with my darker colors, and I end up just going in way too heavy. So I'm gonna do myself a favor and know where my weaknesses are, and I start carving out with the lightest color. And just as a note, if I speed any of the footage up, it pretty much just means that I am just continuing with the same advice that I've said, and I've got nothing interesting to say, and I will always come back with the next hot tip on the next element. Because skin actually takes me hours and hours and hours and hours, and I'm hoping this video isn't going to go for like 4+ hours. For me, I like spending a lot of time on the skin. You don't have to. You might find another YouTuber's technique from another channel that is so much more suited to you. So by all means, do what you need to do. This is just my way of doing it. This is my way. I've just picked different bits and bobs up from people as I've been watching, because everyone has great tips. Everyone has insight and wisdom to provide. So I'm just, you'll notice that I changed my pencil direction too. I feel this just gives a nice even coverage. And with grayscale, you don't even have to apply as many colors as I'm going to. You could just do a couple to start out with. And around the chin. Now you can see that the blush, see how it naturally goes to the corner of her mouth. I like to have the darkest points go there, but then I bring some lighter points just out here as well. But usually that doesn't become apparent to me until I start coloring way more layers in, and then I start adjusting as I go. I'm gonna go back over here, bring it out. And my aim is to have most of the face covered in this light layer. So probably 90% covered. And it is much easier to add color than take away. So that's why we go lightly, and it's why we just keep going over and over and over it. And that's where your Prismacolors are going to sing as well. And I haven't tried skin coloring with the polychromos yet. I will. I'm just not familiar enough with them to be able to do it effectively. I'm looking forward to having a go. Let's start over here. Now, it might be easier for you in your muscle memory to actually start at the darkest areas and work your way inwards. So start with your lightest pencil, but start from the edge here and work your way in. Just follow the lines. Follow the map. Follow the route that's already been laid out to you. I'm going beyond the grayscale with this color, going beyond it. So like I said, I want it to cover most of the area, but I'm just not only doing a light wash, I'm also, like I've been saying, I'm trying to carve out areas from the get-go, because for me that's what works the best, because I'm heavy-handed and We always leave a bit of light on the lips here, on the upper lip here as well, because that's generally turned upward a little bit. So that's naturally going to be lighter because it's turned upward, so it's closer. It's closer to us, even if by like, you know, a couple of mil. And this part especially as well, because this is like, because that's your cheekbone and that's your jaw, and in there's all your teeth, so that's kind of thinner. I've got my pencil on the side as well. So rather than color like that, I've just got it on the side. Under there. And the other reason why we press lightly is because we're blending so many different layers that we want to have room, because if you press too hard, you're going to fill up your paper tooth too quickly. Okay, now for the eyebrows. Now I like to, sorry, the eye sockets were just above it. The brow bone, yeah. I like to leave a gap just there in the middle. That's probably where you put your highlighter, yeah? If you were putting makeup on. So I like to leave that. My girl here has been to the brow bar. Just look at these beautiful eyebrows. I plucked mine too much in the 90s, so there's no way that mine look like that. Oh dear. Bringing forward, and around the middle of the forehead here is where you'd naturally have the lightest part anyway. Well, we can cover most of it, given this is our lightest colour. From outwards as well. Now, I don't have again, I usually start there, but I just let the pencil take me where it wants to take me. I don't have a specific, like, oh, now I'm going to do this next. I just follow where I want to shade. It's really an organic thing. It's really a just build up the connection with what you're using, and just if you're using pencils or whatever, and just let it guide you. It's really something that it's intuitive. I don't want to get too sciencey with it because I don't want to throw you off, because it's really a creative thing. For me, this is more creative and intuitive than it is sciencey. It depends what language works for your brain though. You might need sciencey and charts and things like that. Heck, you might even want underpainting. I don't do underpainting just yet. I'm sure I will as my techniques evolve, but as for the minute, I don't do it. Keen to learn though. But we're just going with some basic colours today, because let's just start the journey easily. Let's not overwhelm ourselves too quickly. And hey, if you only get one thing from today, then I consider that a win. Sometimes we need to watch a video 50 times to pick up things, especially if it's new. Just leaving that highlighter there. I'm hoping you can start to see a bit of that. Maybe. If not, just trust that it's there. It's there, I promise. I can see it with my eyes. Going back to the nose here, I'm going to start to bring the colours out. I'm going to start to like, because I'm happy with how that is, but I wanted to start to bring that intensity out. So again, lightest parts, there, there, there. Like your T-zone, just think like a massive cross. That's where your lightest parts are. Apart from a few bits that'll go inward like here, like between the eyes. Again, follow the grayscale. Even just like study it. You might even feel too intimidated to dive straight into your books. That is totally fine. Just go straight into your local print shop, photocopy one. Or you can get PDFs, you can get practice sheets online, whatever you need. To feel comfortable. I don't know about you, but I remember when I was first wanting to learn skin tones, and to colour skin, I think I was doubting my own ability so much that I almost ended up not feeling worthy enough to be able to try. Because I was like, well, I'm not pro enough, I'm not, skilled enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm gonna wreck it. And I just didn't see myself as someone that was worthy to do it. Which I soon had a bit of a chat with myself. Gave myself a good talking to. See how I'm just like colouring around the nose? So again, the more you do this, you're going to start to do that when none of this shading is here, because you'll pick up the muscle memory. Just like riding a bike. Again, going back to our map metaphor. Here we are with the map laid out for us, with the directions listed. And eventually, we can approach something like Hannah Carlson, and where there's no grayscale, and we'll be like, you know what? I know what I'm doing. It might not happen overnight, but it will happen. It might take years. That's all right. The journey is different for different people. So just because someone like picked it up in 2 goes, or like 1 go, or 5, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've done skin 10 times and I'm still not there, that is all good. Progress is not linear. You'll get there. One day it will click. I remember thinking, I'm never going to be able to drive a manual car. I cannot do this. And then one day it just clicked, and then I could do it. So there you go. Another great introduction into these is you could actually just colour one solid colour and do a tiny bit of shading with the grayscale, and that's it. You could 100% do it that way. You don't have to do it this way. I'm just showing you the way that I do it, and I'm doing my very best to explain it to you. So hopefully it provides a bit of insight into my brain and how I like to do things. Because you might 100% relate to what I'm saying. You might be like, yeah, girl, you're speaking my language. Or you might just be like, you know what? I don't know what you're saying. I have no idea. And that's fine. All right, I'm 80% done with this first layer. And what's that, half an hour? I told you. I told you I'd take a long time. The layers are there, I promise. All the shading, The colour is there, I promise. Even if you're like, bro, I can't see it. Yeah, I'm just doing a bit of a wash in some areas. Okay, a bit of the ear. Just gonna colour all that in. With the rest, I'm gonna leave that till last. But with her chest and her neck and arms and all that, I'm probably gonna do that at the end in a time lapse because it's the same theory. It's the exact same. Limbs and whatnot, same thing. Same thing, different map. Okay. And I might even, you know, I might, as I'm colouring this, I might feel like I need extra colours and I can go and get them. Okay, with the beige, same areas, just slightly less, maybe slightly less by about 5%, I don't know. Probably got to be more of a visual judge than a mathematical judge. Majority of it is just overlapping because the peach is quite pink. Quite an orangey pink. The beige is a nice balance between that. The beige just complements the peachy pink really well. Very, very delicately around here because this is like a smooth color transition. We're not doing any harsh lines with it. You could even, if doing all these base layers intimidates you a little bit, you could always use alcohol markers for a base, like a really light one, and then you could just go in with a couple of shades. So we've got options. You don't always have to do it this exact way. Around the edge there. leave a gap. Can always go in and fill that later if I need a bit more colour. I like to leave this part of the eye quite light. So I'll leave it for now. Around the chin. Now, usually the chin is considered, I like to leave that a bit lighter as well because the, you know, chins can be quite prominent. Give it a little bit. Now I'm going to go in with Nectar, which is 1092. And I'm going to start adding a bit of the blush and just the pink skin details. Now it's only a light pink, so we're going to bring it out in other areas, not just on the cheeks. So very lightly. And I find for me, so working with this pencil and the two lighter ones are where, so those colors I'm going to be bringing in and out more because I just balance it as I go. So I might color it and think, Okay, now this nectar is looking a bit too prominent against those other colours. So I'll go back and bring that beige up a little bit. And then I might feel like I need a bit more light peach, etc. So it's just a balancing act. It's not something that once I'm done with a colour, then I'm done. I will continue to pull it out as I go. So just very lightly here. I'm just going to lightly go around here. We don't want to have the blush going all the way, like right to there, even though there's shading there. We don't want the blush to join up because she's just going to look like the Joker from Batman, and we don't want that. So just going a tiny bit more so just to cover up that grey and just for the tone. Opposed to like the main colours there, because yeah, it'll just be like, what, bro, what are you doing? And just around the nose. I'm just following the same, just the same areas. And I'll keep adding layer by layer. Tweaking, adjusting. Again, I'm not done with the other colours. I've just placed them where I want to place them. And even here too, I'm not gonna, this isn't gonna be too dark because she's gonna end up looking like she's just got some kind of monobrow extension going on. So that's there for shading, not contouring, if that makes sense. It's there just to show there's a bit of a like a dip there. It's not to put blush or anything there because it's then that'd be like, what the. And with Prismacolors too, because they are what they are, you're probably going to find that they start to cover up the grayscale. So once we get darker, you'll see the actual grayscale grey disappear. I do anyway. Sometimes you might need to just go very lightly with your pencil because if it starts getting a bit strokey, just go lightly. Sometimes when you rotate your pencil, you might just end up with a fresh, extra pointy bit. It's going to go around here. And you kind of just join as you go darker. Like, yes, you will go darker here. But then when you bring your lighter colours back, you actually just start joining up around here. I hope that makes sense. Give me a thumbs up. Hit that like button if it makes sense. Just lightly. I can always add in some white if I feel like I've gone too heavy, but again, you may as well just go lightly to begin with. I'll leave a little bit of a gap above this eyebrow as well, because it just leaves a little bit of shine. Okay, and as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking that the nectar is looking quite prominent compared to the other colors. So I'm actually going to go back a step and add in more. So you might say, well, why didn't you just apply more color at the start? Then you wouldn't have to do that. True, but sometimes you don't know how to balance it until you bring in other colors, and you're better off doing it this way than realizing that you went too hard too soon and you have to work to correct some things that otherwise you could have just gone back and... Do you know what I mean? And especially while you're learning, it's okay to go back and forth between your colors, because no two portraits are the same either, are they? So we've got to be mindful of that too, that we're working with different angles. And this is just how I like to shape them. I like to carve and contour with all of the colors. And I want to have room for all the colors. So I may as well just go lightly with each layer and leave room for the rest, and then go back and decide if there's more room for the colors that I've just used. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Now I'm going to be introducing the next color, which is the Rosy Beige 1019. I'm going to follow the same principle like I did with the Nectar. Just bring a bit of pink out. Apply it mainly to these shaded areas a little bit further, not too much. Just a little bit. You could argue that you could go Rosy Beige before Nectar. It's up to you, really. And I think too, once you start, so usually I'll do the skin first, then I'll do hair, and then I'll adjust the skin based on how it's looking against the hair. So you might need to change up a few things just depending on the hair tone and how the skin is looking with that. Oh, I almost went too... So easy just to go too hard too soon. So easy. Okay, so we're almost done with our lightest colours for the minute. I'm about to go into our darker colours, which are going to just richen everything up. But see how the lightest colours, see how I've like carved out things and not coloured a lot here, 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 and there, and there. See how we're getting this glowy effect? So we've got a lot of light happening. So even though I might cover some of that up later, it's just giving me a good reference point, I suppose. It's giving me a good indication of how things are turning out. So she doesn't look too flat. I don't have like crazy amounts of peach or beige anywhere. So she does look quite glowy. But again, I might, once we add our darker colors, I might add more. But at least now I've got the option to. It's not like I've gone so dark around these areas that I have to work harder with the darker colors to bring them out. And I probably will adjust some of the lighter colors around the eyes, I reckon. But for now, I'm mainly just focusing on the actual, like the main larger areas of skin. Okay, so the first darker color that I'm going to bring out is the burnt ochre, which is 943. Probably not going to see that because I've got the camera on manual focus and it might not actually. But yeah, it's burnt ochre 943. And probably starting in the eye socket area mainly, just covering over the grayscale. Getting here. It's amazing how one pencil shade can make all the difference. So adding in, say, peach in the Prismacolor range could really change this up. So you've really got a lot to play with. And I would recommend hunting around on YouTube for color combinations and resources. So I've hunted around and used a lot of resources for skin combinations, and then I actually end up just using those as a base, and then I make my own. Like, I'll just add on top of them. As I go, so you can kind of create something that's uniquely yours, and I think that's a really good idea too. So mainly just around the shaded areas here. I might bring it in. I probably wouldn't do it there. I mean, potentially. I'm not going to do it there just yet. I'm going to see how everything else is looking. Especially around under here. Filling in the darker areas now. A little bit down there. Not too much. A little bit around there, and again, not too much, just lightly does it, because, you know, look out. Lightly does it there. Bit there. The tiniest bit here. Definitely more under the eyeballs. She's coming together slowly. Which, with skin, for me, it's a slow game. It's just how it is. See how my pencil, like how I'm holding it? It's very, very different at the start when I was holding it backwards. So now I'm holding it more forwards because I am pressing slightly harder because there's less paper tooth. I'm more confident where all the shading should be. I'm a lot happier with all of that. And I have gone too hard there, but we'll fix that up. We'll see about that. So I've got my white pencil. If I make any mistakes, like it's a bit of a whoops there. Probably went a bit too hard there. But I've got the white so I can blend that out. I can use the light peach as well. I won't have this shade under like the entire eye because she might look a bit pandery. Down there. Don't want to go too far. Just a little bit there. We'll save some more, bring some more pinks through. See how as well, so I haven't just done the shading in a very straight line. I've kind of like how I was saying before, I've brought it up. Because it depends where their cheekbones are. Like everyone's cheekbones are different and all the portraits, they're all different too. Cheekbones are in different spots. I'll just got this darker color, and I will go over the eyelashes, like again in a bit of black. A little bit down here. I don't need too much, just a little bit. Try to just do the tiniest little bit. Tiny bit under that nose again. Again, I will revisit everything. Okay, now I'm going to add this is my Chestnut 1081, and it's definitely going in an extender. And this is certainly just for the highlighted areas, as is that dark umber as well. Sorry, definitely for the shaded areas. So just lightly too. I am going to go back in again with my lighter layers and blend, because we can potentially look sharp sometimes when we start adding in darker colors. We can get some lines that are a bit too harsh maybe, and we might like to soften those up, which I will do. Remember, like I said at the start, things can look a bit weird until the very end. Things can look a bit like, what? Ears are always a forgotten thing. Spend so much time focusing on the face. Now see how the grayscale is just beginning to disappear a little bit? It does, I suppose, it does help enhance some of the shadows, but not really. It can, but I've just found that, yeah, it doesn't make a huge difference. It's just really nice to have it because you know where to put all your colours. That's why I like it so much. Right, I'm going to go in now with the darkest, the very, very darkest, which is this dark umber. 947. And I'm really not going to add too much. I'm just going to add a little bit because I want to go back in and just darken up some of those lighter shades. Now that I've got a really good idea of where everything's going, and the amount of super dark colors are going to depend on your picture as well. If there's more hair over the face, it depends on the angle. So I probably don't need to use too much here, really at all. It's mainly to create depth. And shadow. Yeah, I'm gonna need a bit down the bottom here because we're quite like on this like upper 2/3. It's quite there, but I need to just bring a little bit down on the bottom too. And I'm doing the ever tiniest little bit. Not too much, otherwise it's like, what? Just a bit down there. Alrighty friends, we are going back with our lighter colors. Okay, so this is my light peach. I'm actually just I'm going over everything because we can start to like mush it and blend it together. And if you ever look at your work and you're like, oh, it looks a bit scratchy, a bit pale, you're not done yet, keep going. So often we can get impatient and we think we're done when we're really not. Gotta keep going. I'm gonna try and keep some of those highlight areas like there on the chin. I'm gonna try and keep them still in. As much as possible. But I'm just working from the darker points in towards the light and tapering off so that I don't cover it over too much. I prefer, if I do want to cover it over, I prefer to gradually do it rather than go over it and then it's like you can't really adjust anything. Because you can go too far, you can go too far. And we just don't want that. Like, I feel like I've brought the brown out slightly too far, but I'm just going to do my best with the lightest colours to adjust it, and it just adds character. Build up a bit here. Build up a bit in there. Same thing. I am pressing a little bit harder. Not too hard, but a little bit. A little bit. Because I've saved enough space with all my layering to be able to afford to do this at this point. If you go, again, if you press too hard too soon, you just lose the ability to do finer adjustments later on. Okay, I'm going to go back in with my beige. I really like the relationship between the beige and the light peach, like I was saying. Like we've got this really nice, they're like different tones and they work really well together. I feel like I'm always adding in a bit of beige. And as I'm going, I'm kind of now starting to close a lot of the gaps while still trying to maintain that glowy effect. Closing them ever so slightly as because those gaps are relative to the darker points. So you adjust them as you go. Hence why I remember at the start when I said this is like an organic thing. So you make adjustments as you go. As the work evolves, you're like, all right, well now I'm going to change this, this, and this, and this. Because it's impossible to have this complete vision sometimes of how everything's going to turn out until you actually just dive in and give it a crack. I'm going to cover those up actually. Yeah. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. Because we've got like a lot of natural light coming through there anyway. Yep, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Again, that's why I think it's helpful just to allow yourself to be a bit flexible. Because your plans may change. Like I said before, I'm just closing the gaps of a lot of the space that I left. And again, you might say, well, why didn't you just cover over more in the first place? Again, because you don't know how much room you're going to need. So you may as well just go lightly. You've got nothing to lose. There's nothing to lose. The only advantage you're going to have is time. Which for me, and the way I do skin, I don't care about saving time. I really don't. All right, I'm going to go back in with some nectar. Do a bit more balancing. Going pretty lightly around the middle here. Again, I just want to be really careful of not giving her this crazy mono brow scenario. And I'm going to leave just, see that tiny gap of light just around the chin and the jawline? I'm going to leave that there. Because that, I feel like it just gives everything a bit more illumination. It's just this nice way to play with the light. Just weaving in the colours together. This nectar is just a really nice, like, binder, if you will. And it just binds all the colours together. Kind of just like that beige. could just sit here for hours and just bind all the colours together. Going around, and I'm gonna try and not like bring this too heavily down here, because I do want this to look a bit more hollow than down here, if that makes sense. So I might just do a little bit, but the main is like up here, because that's your jawline, and naturally it's going to jut out a little bit more than that. Not too much though. All right, I reckon she's looking pretty good. I'm almost happy with it. Well, I'm pretty happy with it as it is at the minute. I will keep adjusting and going. Okay, let's bring in some of that rosy beige. So that's the other pink. It's going to blend that too. This might sound like a really weird trick, but sometimes if I'm struggling to figure out where to put a colour, I just unfocus my eyes. So I don't mean go cross-eyed, but I mean I just unfocus them, and then everything blurs a little bit and I can kind of see where things need to go. It's just been a weird thing that I always do. Again, very strange, but works for me. I don't know if you guys do that. Let me know in the comments if you do. If you're someone that unfocuses your eyes just to see how the colours are looking without seeing all the crazy details. It's a bit funny. It's my thing. Now see how with this, I'm actually pointing a little bit up towards the nose. It's more so for shading with your lighter colours and your medium colours, definitely not your darks. Your darks are more that way, and the blushy lighter colours are more up there. And don't worry if you're not going to remember that, that's fine. I found that I have watched the same rotations of skin tutorials like 5 times each, just so I can get them in my head. So if you feel like that is you, and you feel like you need to watch things 50 times before you get it, that's fine, I do it too. Or maybe we're both crazy. We'll never know. Yep, she's starting to come together now. I'm thinking about hair while I'm doing this. There's a lot of different colours that I could go with. And I think I'll save the eyes and the lips again for the hair colour. Okay, I'm circling right back to the beginning with the light peach. Covering up more. Adjusting all the colour balance as I go. So I want there to be a nice balance between all of the colours. I don't want one colour to just be screaming at me. I want this nice harmony of colours. And I've just closed that gap because I'm going to bring in some dark umber around there. And keeping the like light lines underneath the eyebrows there too. Keeping those there. When I say I'm covering it, I'm like very lightly covering it. I've got a bit too much grey coming through on the sides of the mouth, so I've got to figure that out too. Maybe that beige or the nectar. Gosh, imagine trying to follow me in a color along with this. Be changing the text like every 3 seconds. Like, now we're doing this color. Oh no, wait, now we're not. Now we're back to here. Wait, now we're over there. What? It's best if we just do it in real time. Just like adding the beige. Again, I've said why like 50 times, but I just love it. Just helps things not look too pink. It's like, of course we want pink because, you know, we have blood and all that. But I feel like it just helps neutralize that just a little bit, like a toner. Just, you know, chilling it out a bit. All right, let's add in a bit of the dark umber for some eye bizzo. Eye makeup, I should say. Just a little bit. You can add as much makeup as you like. I don't go too crazy with it. I think because I don't wear it myself. If I did, I'd probably add a bit more. I'm just adding it in these darkest areas. I'm not going to go down too far because she might just look a bit Cleopatra-ish. About down to there. Bit out to the side there because like we have a natural kind of bulge there sometimes, I feel. Like here. Do you know what I mean? It's like this little tiny. going to bring it up at the side a bit. It's probably going to be relatively darker because it's kind of hidden in the hair a little bit. Not by much. And again, I would always come back and adjust once the hair is done, because hair has an influence on how makeup can look, how skin can look, all of that. I'm leaning towards something a bit darker, potentially. I was thinking maybe an auburn. Black might be cool. Yeah. Or even like a deep maroon, deep burgundy or something. I'm just adding a little bit. I've left the, I might go back in and change it, but I have left these bits white for the time being. I'll adjust those once I do the eyes, I think. So usually for me, it's face and then body, then hair, then the rest. Most of the time. There's always exceptions to the rule, isn't there? Just add a little bit down here. Not pressing very hard at all. I'll just go around there like that. Again, because this colour is so dark and because a lot of this is burnished, I'm not pressing too hard because it'll just be a bit scratchy. Just like the lightest little bit, like you don't even need to hardly touch the thing. Guys, we are nearly done and dusted. Would you believe? And we're on the couple of hour mark. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be doing the face for like 4 hours. But no, we got there. Hope you've learned something. Hope you found this helpful. It's my sincere hope that you have anyway. I'd certainly work really hard to try and make sure that I'm coming across as, you know, somewhat understandable and clear. Stick around for, at the end, I'm going to do a time lapse of the rest. Silent time lapse, as they all are, with some music, unless you want to hear me sound like a chipmunk. And stay tuned for the next exciting episode. So you can choose to watch the rest, or you can choose just to leave it there. I do like to do everything in chapters these days, so you can skip ahead to what you want, or you can go back to bits. I'm honestly could just be adjusting forever, and you might find that too. It's like there's the actual skin colouring, and then there's the adjustments. What I might do, To decide on the skin tone, to decide on the hair color, might actually hold up some different color combinations against her face and see what looks the nicest, and I'll make that decision after the rest of the skin's done too, but I'll probably do another hair tutorial. I think this hair has a fair amount of movement and I think we might get a little bit confused. Not confused, but I'm just wondering, I don't know if it's the best like hair style to teach you on. So I might pick another one and I'll get the skin done first and then we can do some learning. Let's do like a fraction, like a little bit, like just a little bit, like a smattering, like that, yeah, like a smattering of brown. And stay tuned for, I think we'll also progress to maybe some skin tutorials in Hannah Calzon's. And I might do some different color combinations. We could really do like so many tutorials on skin. Like I really don't feel that, you know, one tutorial covers the whole kit and caboodle, hey. Bit more in there. Oh gosh, I could just sit here for ages. Maybe my time lapse might include me doing some adjustments after I've done the rest. I might come back and adjust this. I don't know, we'll see. So what we will do is, oh, she's looking great. Hey, let's time lapse this and we'll see the end result. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, if you want to sit here for the time lapse, feel free. If you want to jump ahead to the next video, feel free. I look forward to showing you the completed page in a later video. And again, I hope you got something out of today. So I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.